Okay, folks, as we wrap up an era of understanding music through tertiary harmonies, we're going to try to look at a few more techniques that composers used to evade the tonic. So music theorist and Eastman professor Stephen Leitz refers to this as the reciprocal process, which he defines as the event in which occurs when the listener loses tonal grounding because of the conflicting tonal implications that confuse the three harmonic functions, referring of course to the tonic, predominant, and dominant. So one method is by root movement by tritone. Now, this isn't all that new. We've been doing this in chord progressions, including a 4 to a 7. And we've even done it with the Neapolitan 6 going to the 5. So then, Camille, what are you talking about? Well, I'm referring to when composers break away from those justified motions and just use a tritone root relationship. So one example is in Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique, where he juxtaposes a D flat major against a G major in a key where he hasn't even really told us if we're in B flat major or G minor. And so just so we can hear that musical example, here's a little excerpt of that. And so the other interesting aspect of that is he intensifies that tritonal relationship by having the winds and brass on that D flat and the strings and timpani on the G. It's just really a brilliant way of bringing out those colors. Okay, another technique that was employed was the plagal relation motion in music. Essentially, cadences would incorporate harmonies such as a minor 4 or a 2 half diminished 6/5 to substitute for a traditional 5/7, or some would argue leave out or omit the 5/7 and move directly to the tonic. One really incredible example of this is Chopin's revolutionary etude in C minor, opus 10, number 12. And I have to say, this is one of Chopin's most difficult etudes, so I am not going to attempt to play it. But I found a recording of this excerpt here.
28.1.
Really cool. That's what it was. But anyway, moving on to the next technique. It might seem super obvious, but it's just to use inharmonically named chords in order to move from one tonal center to another. Granted, we've already seen, heard, and analyzed this with, say, a dominant 7 chord actually functioning as a German 6. We also have the experience of using the diatonic chords to pivot to new chords, or new keys rather. And we have also played around with the idea of a fully diminished 7 modulating to a new key area. However, I want to hone in on that a bit more. So Jane Piper Clendening and Elizabeth West Marvin have created a really lovely chart of all the possible diminished chords and one of their resolutions, so sometimes major, sometimes minor, in this nice convenient way, and including at some really nice points the inharmonic equivalents. So the first one, if you were to build it, say, on B, D, F, G sharp. Which of course we already know that is all the same fully diminished triad. So let's go ahead and build it now on C. D sharp, F sharp, A. All right, folks, we're almost there. We're going to now build it on C sharp. So why does this work? Well, because these are completely symmetrical chords. And so they allow for a great deal of ambiguity and allow us to move really, really smoothly through various keys. And the other symmetrical chord, as you might already be thinking, is, that's right, the augmented triads. So what I would like for you to do is create the same chart, but use it for the augmented triads, and you'll be obviously respelling it in harmonically and choosing where to go. So I'm going to ask that you do that by Monday to submit that so we can all look at your solutions together. Okay. Another technique that's employed heavily in this period is the voice leading or modulation by a common tone. This is literally exactly what it sounds like. You keep one note the same and move the others by step, typically by half step, but sometimes by whole step. Obviously, our ears are already used to this from the diatonic motion of, say, a 1, 2, a 1, 6, 4, right? Or similar motion. Therefore, when we apply it to non-diatonic or non-harmonically functioning chords, it actually already sounds super, super pleasing. So yes, now we can name some of those with fancy terms like chromatic mediant relationships or the omnibus chord progression. But we also now have permission to analyze the music by chromatic or stepwise motion, which is creating these smooth chordal successions rather than functional harmony. So we see this kind of motion in all sorts of music, and one really nice example is in Beethoven's Pathetique Sonata, which uses several in order to obscure the key of A flat versus A flat major versus F minor. But an example I really like that also does it more daringly is the opening to Dvorak's New World Symphony Movement 2. And again, we already know these as the chromatic mediant relationships. And let's go ahead and hear the opening chords in E minor, going to B flat 6, returns to that E minor. They're going to keep that F, but go somewhere else to the D flats, and you think, okay, we're good. Then he's going to keep that E that he had, but go to an A. Wait, what's that? Okay. And then going to F sharp minor, and returning, of course, back to that D flat. So we get a lot of really nice chordal movement there that doesn't sound too jarring because he keeps playing with this E, F, and then uses a different common tone to get us from the, keeping the C sharp, going to the F sharp, keeping that C sharp again, going to the D flat. Really nice chordal motion. Finally, there's exactly what the title of this lecture is proposing, literally avoiding the tonic. We see composers delaying a sense of what the tonic is both melodically and harmonically all over this era. One really fun example is Brahms' Password Song, Opus 7, number 2. So at first listen, it basically sounds like you're in C major. But then when the A sharp enters in measure 3, the listener could pass that off as some sort of use of maybe a B flat. So C with the B flat, that's right, the 5 of 4. But wait a second, then measure 6, he throws in an unexpected twist. And that is the E minor 6/4. And then to a B major triad. Okay, so this is really, really confusing. Are we in C or E minor? Well, finally by measure 9, he confirms that we are in fact in E minor. So that means that at the opening, it opens on the C, the 6, for a long time, leads to a German 6, which then resolves correctly to that 1/6/4, the E6/4, immediately goes to the 5, and then finally, 9 measures later, resolves it to the 1. Well, then the analysis is kind of crazy again, and has a flat 5/7 of a flat 2, or the C7, resolving that to the flat 2. So basically not treating it like the German anymore, but then treating it as a dominant functioning chord, going to F, and then spinning every which way thereafter. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a listen to this opening thing, and we're going to end it actually on a German chord here. For fun or extra credit, you can analyze this work as well. It is posted on Canvas. And so at this point, you have a lot of tools to try to make sense of all of this post-Romantic era music. And so now we'll just have fun and analyze.